Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever it is, wherever you happen to be. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live here on all of our various social media. Okay, here on most of our various social media, Facebook Live doesn't seem to be that interested in actually going live right now. But brought to you by the folks at Nerd Caliber, or this folk at Nerd Caliber. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber. I'm flying solo. Everybody's off doing other things. It's the end of the summer. It's all sorts of fun and crazy stuff people are doing, and that actually is probably going to be a good thing because we've got so many topics because of DC FanDome this past week, and that just let every other piece of nerd entertainment fandom out there to dump their own news, trying to ride on the coattails of DC Fandom's really successful event. Before I get going, I'll say hello to some people that are already on some of the platforms. On YouTube, we've got Day Wolfie, hello. Santiago Reyna Laredo, hello. The Pro Meme 73, hello. Luminous, welcome back to the channel. It's the Nerd Caliber Fandome, or the Nerd Caliber Thunderdome, depending on how you look at it. You know what? I'm going to actually take a quick look. Maybe we're actually live on this other. Oh, we are. Okay. We are live on Facebook. But because it's on a different computer, I'm running this on 2 different computers and 3 screens. So because it's on a different computer, I may not be able to get to Facebook chats right away. YouTube's where we're usually the busiest anyway, so I've got that up. I've got the Twitch chats up. Actually, you know what? If I just go back one to... Hold on a second here before we get into the news, folks. Let me see if I can bring up our actual Nerd Caliber live event running right now on the window that I want to be able to see it on so I can see chats from everybody. And we'll see whether or not that's working. And it is not. All right, well, hopefully I'll get to these chats if anything pops up. But we got the Twitch and we got the YouTube, and I can see those clearly. So let's get this shindig going. And we're going to start with a little bit of an update about what's happening with Stranger Things. So the Duffer Brothers wanted to let people know, again, probably trying to ride on the coattails of all of the big news that was coming out of fandom, that they're working on season 4. According to this article that was in BuzzFeed and actually a whole bunch of other places, they have not yet started filming because of the whole COVID pandemic, etc., etc. But the Duffers say that actually gives them a couple of advantages. One is that they have written all the scripts. Apparently that's not the case for the past 3 seasons. That they were at times writing while they were working. Excuse me. Let's try not to do that throughout the rest of the show. So they're ready to go as soon as they get a chance to get people in front of a camera. Scripts are all set to go. They did also drop 2 bits of information. The 4th season will not be the last season at all. I'll do a little bit of this. Pardon me, folks. The 4th season will not be the last season. They have it planned out. They say they know when it will end. It will not be season 4. So, first off, let's hope that Netflix stays with them. Netflix is known for canceling shows. But the other thing that they said is that, and the reason you see Hopper up here, or you saw Hopper up there, is that this season, as they kind of implied with that teaser of him being there in the Russian prison, is going to reveal some things about Hopper. They're finally going to get into his backstory a little bit more than they have in the past. And I like that. I think that's a cool idea. I mean, so far, pretty much everything they've done has been pretty cool. They've had a few minor misses, but it's been a great series, and it looks like it's going to continue. So, looking forward to that. It doesn't say when they will actually air, because we don't know when they're actually going to start filming season 4. That's still up in the air because of the pandemic, blah, blah, blah. So our next topic is, if you are a pen and paper D&D player, role player, then you've probably already heard about this. You already know that it's out. There's a new rule book for 5th edition, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And in addition to have a bunch of different rules and expanding on some things, adding a bunch of new spells and things like that, it is the first piece of work that Wizards of the Coast has put out that adheres to what they said, and we covered a little while ago, which in response to complaints that the nature of the way they treat different races has a tendency to be a bit, let's say, stereotypical. Even though they're not real races, I mean, they're obviously fictional races, having an entire race that's described as generally evil or generally stupid is problematic in these days. So in this book, they've changed the nature of the way the character creation goes just a little bit, in that you no longer get the descriptions and bonuses or minuses based on particularly negative character traits. So I think that's smart. It's certainly timely. As a role player from way back when, like I bought the original Gary Gygax 5x7 craft paper pamphlets when I first started playing D&D back in the late 70s. Then I think that it's a good idea to allow for greater player control of how their characters can be played. You decide you want to play a drow, but you really don't want to be like nasty and evil or whatever. This now allows you to do that. Smart call on their part. I like this idea. I don't see how it could possibly be a bad thing, particularly for players who like to make their characters as individual as they possibly can be. And that's one of the things that I've always had a problem with. If somebody rolls a character that just doesn't fit the way they want to play it, they're going to play it anyway the way they want to play it. And then it's up to the DM to try to figure out how that fits and how that can happen, or argue with them over it, in which case nobody's going to enjoy the game. So, smart move on their call, or smart call on their part, or something like that. And I see this picture picking up my cursor, and it was sitting right over my eyeball. Well, that looks pretty silly. All right, our next story, and I just threw this in here because I'm not really sure why, but apparently enough people liked Warrior Nun on Netflix that it's been picked up. I frankly didn't make it through the first episode, and not because of changes from the comic book. I actually have right behind me the first issue of Warrior Nun Ariella, which is what it's based on. And it just was kind of too stupid for me to follow through. And the acting was all over the place. I mean, there were some good bits of acting in it, but not a lot. So, but apparently enough people liked it that Netflix has said there is definitely going to be a season 2. So those of you who are in fact fans of Warrior Nun, good for you. Have fun. Apparently this says additional season 2 casting is to be announced, so apparently there are going to be new characters being brought in. And that's it. Doesn't really say anything, of course, about when this will happen, since they just announced, granted, only 6 weeks after the series launched, so that's pretty impressive. But they just announced that there would be the season 2. I'm guessing, again, 2022, if anybody starts filming anything this fall, it'll be dribs and drabs. So, I can't picture them doing all of the work that's involved with this, with all the special effects and so on, in anything less than, a year and a half or 2 years. Who do we have here? Optimized Exposure. Are you a nerd? It'd be pretty silly of me to be the editor-in-chief of a channel called Nerd Caliber and running a show called Nerd Week Live if I wasn't. Right? I mean, no, but yes, I am, in fact, and a proud one. So thank you for asking. Moving on to our next bit of news. This actually dropped right before our last show, last Tuesday, and I missed it completely, and it kind of ticked me off. That is, of course, Jensen Ackles from his character in Supernatural, or as his character in Supernatural. Supernatural is wrapping up this fall. It'll have a 7-episode final season. That's going to be the end of it. Immediately, Ackles is going over to another show. It was announced that he is going to be joining season 3, which was announced, even though season 2 hasn't started yet, of The Boys, the Amazon series based on the incredibly foul, profane, disgusting, violent, gory comic book. And the series itself is pretty close to all of that and more. And he's going to be playing the character Soldier Boy, who was apparently the original superhero, and is desperately trying to get into the Seven, the corporate group of superheroes that are the main bad guys. There's a lot of bad guys in this show, so it's hard to say. But yeah, so that's it. Jensen Ackles will be jumping right into The Boys. I don't know when they start filming, but right after everything wraps up with Supernatural. So good for him. It'll be interesting to see the character. I didn't grab an image because I couldn't find one. This is a nature of what this show is like if you've not seen The Boys. I couldn't find an image that was high enough resolution that wasn't inappropriate to put on YouTube. So, so I didn't. He kind of looks like a sort of World War II Captain America, because he's got that sort of heater-type shaped shield, and of course the red, white, and blue, but with like spandex shorts instead of long pants. It's a very interesting character, and it'll be interesting to see him playing that character. It is at times, the character is at times so not heroic like the brothers in Supernatural most of the time are. Be fun. Looking forward to him broadening his horizons, let's put it that way. And once again, season 2 hasn't dropped. We don't know when they're going to be filming season 3, so we just can't say when you'll get to see him do this. I'll give I'm just get a stamp and just stick it on there. 2022 at the earliest. So before we get into all sorts of DC stuff, we've got a couple of things, and the first one is, and I'm very excited about this. Sony is going to be making a Kraven the Hunter movie, according to Deadline, and they're citing a source that they say is solid on this, and that they are looking to get, I'm going to butcher his last name if I don't have it in front of me here, J.C. Chandor, okay, that wasn't that tough, to be the director. Chandor directed most recently, come on, where are we? We have Triple Frontier, the Netflix movie. He did Margin Call, which was the story about the stock market and manipulating the stock market. He did A Most Violent Year. So he's definitely got the ability to do action. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. The reason I chose, let me put that picture back up there. The reason I chose this particular picture is the first appearance by Kraven. It's also one of my absolute favorite early 1970s comic books. I was a big Spider-Man fan at the time. Gil Kane did the art, which was a break from John Romita, who was doing the art at the time. I was always a huge Gil Kane fan. And of course, it takes place in oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it. The prehistoric jungle that's hidden inside Antarctica. I can't remember what they call that in the Marvel cinematic or the Marvel comic book universe. But that's always one of my favorite places to put any sort of stories. So that's why I chose that particular image, as opposed to any other of just one of the more modern looks of Kraven. But but I'm a big fan of Craven. He's done some pretty horrible things. He was actually responsible for the storyline that supposedly killed Peter and started the whole clones debacle. So Craven is a very important villain in the Spider-Man universe. Now, again, this is coming out of Deadline with, we have heard, but their reporters are pretty solid. So I'm guessing that this is going to be happening. And if so, I can't wait. And once again, they just announced that they have heard that this is happening and that they're working on picking this person as a director. So who knows when you'll get to see a Craven movie. Years and years ago, when over 2 years ago, when we first started this, we reported on the Black Cat Silver Sable movie that was definitely going to happen. Never happened. So, fingers crossed for me, though, because I'm a big Craven fan, and I really hope that we actually get to see this movie. Moving on to our next topic, and this, I gotta say, so the image that just popped up there was actually from 2013, back at Dragon Con. And I took this picture of 3 basically adult or grown-up Powerpuff Girls. The news is that there is going to be a Powerpuff series on the CW, a live-action series, so like what you're looking at there, although I don't know what the costume designs are going to be, but a live-action series that is sort of updating the characters. They are now 20-somethings instead of little girls. They're disillusioned because they lost their childhood to being forced to be superheroes and crime fighters. So my take on this initially was, I'm not really sure if this is like something we need to see. Savage Land, thank you, Luminous. Dang it, I should have known that. I'm not really sure, or my initial thought was I'm not sure if this is anything we need to see, but then I looked at who's behind it. So executive producers include anyway, Greg Berlanti. Berlanti Productions pretty much has done every DC television thing since the beginning of the Arrowverse that you've seen. Whether it's on CW or anywhere else, Titans, Doom Patrol, and so on. That's Stargirl, it's all Berlanti Productions. Heather Renier, who I'll get to in a little bit about her curriculum vitae, and Diablo Cody. So Juno, United States of Tara. So this could be a very funny, updated adult, or let's say adult, but mature. Let's put it that way, not adult in that sense. Story, and if that's the case, now I'm a lot more interested. Heather Renier, let's see, where is the information here about Heather Renier? I completely just missed it. Actually has a decent CV. Here we go. iZombie, Falling Skies, which was a really good science fiction show. Sleepy Hollow, which was good for a while until they screwed the pooch on that. The Veronica Mars revival, and this kind of blows my mind, Smilf, which was a super controversial show. So, again, leaning into the idea that this could be something really mature, smart, funny, and I like that. Luminous Powerpuff, I hope they recreate the mayor's office since it's based on the 1966 Batman set. I did not know that. That's really cool. I wonder whether they'll actually, show the face of the mayor's assistant. I assume they kind of have to. But I realized that one of the things, when I first saw this news, and I went, okay, why in the world did I do this? It's the Powerpuff Girls was never aimed at me as a target demographic. And the women that are in my friends groups, for the most part, have responded very well to this, which honestly I thought would be I found a bit surprising. I thought that there would be a lot more negative reaction to what they're doing here. But apparently, unlike a lot of guys who would be, for a different type of show, they're ruining my childhood. Apparently, the ladies who are fans of Powerpuff Girls, grew up with it, are pretty keen to see how they do this. So, with that, knowing that the target demographic is a lot more into it than I am, or I was initially, and the names of the people that are behind it, I think they've got me interested. Let's put it that way. Not entirely sure I'm 100% sold yet, but I am definitely interested. All right, so now we're going to start sliding into the DC FanDome stuff. But first, it's sort of, let's call it FanDome tangential. That is, of course, Cyborg, Ray Fisher from Justice League. And we reported on this when, weeks ago, this first came out, that Ray Fisher had accused Joss Whedon of being abusive on the set when they were making Justice League. So the word is out now that apparently Warner Media has had an ongoing investigation about what went on the set for a while now. Fisher tweeted this stuff back on July 1st, so almost 2 months ago. And shortly after that, apparently they launched their investigation. Now, the reason it's news is that Fisher just tweeted, after 5 weeks of interviews with various cast crew, Warner Media has officially launched an independent third-party investigation. Now, maybe that's a different thing than the internal investigation they were doing, and so it is a different creature. Maybe they've brought in an outside counsel, legal firm, whatever, to do the investigation. But Fisher says that basically all the producers and the director, so he lists Joss Whedon, John Berg, who was one of the producers, and Jeff Johns, DC Comics stalwart and now television and movie powerhouse, as grossly abusive. This gets me, though, and this was Fisher's tweet from August 20th. I believe this investigation will show that Jeff Johns, Joss Whedon, John Berg, and others grossly abused their power during the uncertainty of AT&T's merger with Time Warner. Now, I'm not sure how a director or a producer could abuse their power when, a behind-the-scenes big merger was happening, unless it was because Fisher was arguing for more money, and they said that they couldn't make that decision because of the uncertainty around the merger. And in which case, this gross abuse accusation, if that's the reason, and we don't know, if that's the reason, this gross abuse accusation is basically about, I didn't get money. I can't see any other reason why he would include that particular way of phrasing it. Grossly abused their power during the uncertainty of AT&T's merger with Time Warner. It certainly doesn't sound like what we all thought when this started back in July 1st and Fisher was complaining about Whedon specifically abusing his power and abusing cast members, that it was verbal abuse or harassment or whatever. Doesn't sound like that. I mean, why would a merger have anything to do with how you treat the actors, other than how you treat their paychecks? So there's going to be a lot more to come out about this, it will wind up painting some people in a very bad light, whether that's Whedon and Berg and Jeff Johns or Ray Fisher. We'll just have to see, or everybody. I mean, you never know. Everybody could look like scum by the time this whole thing is done. But we'll see where all the investigation lands. All right, so that out of the way, it's time to get into the lots and lots of stuff that came out of FanDome. We're going to start with the games. So the first game, if you haven't seen the trailer for Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, go watch it. It's one of the funniest things. It's every bit as funny as a Borderlands trailer. It is the characterizations of What you're seeing there on the screen is Boomerang. The reason Boomerang is got the purple is the things that they're beating up are Brainiac is attacking Metropolis. They're Brainiac's android servants, so they spew, or alien servants, they spew purple blood whenever they get attacked. So it's Boomerang, Harley Quinn, King Shark, and Deadshot. This is funnier than any single moment in the original Suicide Squad movie. It's just a hoot of a trailer. The action looks fantastic. If they did, in fact, motion capture actual actors to get the face looks, and I think they did, based on the look of Harley Quinn's face. Because she doesn't look like any other portrayal of Harley Quinn that's been done. They didn't base it on Margot Robbie, that's for sure. And it's such a realistic looking face. If they did do that, they did such a better job than what happened with Marvel's Avengers game, where they motion captured the voice actors. Even with all that motion capture, it still looks stiff. Not at all in this trailer. It looks fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it. Jim Sterling did a wonderful piece where, of course, he spent the entire time of the 2.5 minute trailer or whatever not talking about the trailer, but talking about the fact that Rocksteady, has not properly addressed accusations of misogyny, workplace harassment, and so on. Rocksteady being the company that is developing the game. So there's that. Rocksteady has problems. As we now know, every game company has problems. Every game company needs to address those problems. I'm not sure if it's going to stop me from looking at this game when it comes out, but it might. Frankly, I'm pretty much done with Ubisoft at this point, unless Ubisoft fixes their serious problems. I haven't heard that things at Rocksteady are that bad, but bad people making good content is something that everybody needs to address. Crash, welcome to the show. I wouldn't be surprised if they used the studio who did the DC Injustice games mapping. Their faces and looks are incredibly detailed. That could be. I have to look into that. That's a good idea. And you're right. Those are wonderfully, beautifully detailed, wonderfully rendered. And the funny thing is, Rocksteady is actually the studio that did the Arkham games. And this looks so much not like an Arkham game, although it is supposedly set in the Arkham continuity. They said there are things that have happened in the Arkham games that will continue through to this game, which I found fascinating. Or do I have that wrong? You know what? I may have that wrong. I may be thinking of the other game we're going to be talking about. Let me look at my other bit of news here. No, I guess I do have that right. Although I don't see it in this news or the news before. I must have seen that in some other piece that I was looking at. But I'm pretty sure it is this game. Oh yeah, here it is. In this first look, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is much brighter than the Arkham games that Rocksteady made, but it's part of the same universe. Some of the stories that started in the Arkham games will continue in this upcoming release. So that's interesting. It's nice to see that they can take a different tone and nail it, as far as I can tell, with the games, other than being like dark serious and so on. But speaking of dark serious, boy, do we have dark serious in spades. And again, I really like the looks of it. This is, of course, a screenshot. Crash says, you're right, Gotham Knights is the game that doesn't follow. Yeah, you're right. Follow the Arkham series. And this is, in fact, a shot from Gotham Knights. The Gotham Knights in this case are Red Hood, Robin, Batgirl, and Nightwing. If you haven't seen the trailer, check it out. And this is kind of a spoiler for the trailer and the game, but it's the first thing you see in the trailer. Batman's dead. And he leaves a message that basically tells all of these people, who have been at various times his sidekicks, his apprentices, that they have to take over, that they have to be the ones to save Gotham. We find out in the latter part of the trailer that Mr. Freeze seems to be an important part of it. We get a look at him, although basically from the chest down, we don't see Mr. Freeze's face, which is interesting. And a fantastic gun, Freeze gun, nice design. But the big thing is the Court of Owls. The main villains apparently in this are going to be the Court of Owls. The visual realization of those designs are fantastic. Everything, as you can see from the detail in Red Hood's, absolutely fantastic looking leather armor, in Robin's tunic-like coat. Everything is wonderfully detailed, looks sharp as can be. And the gameplay, such as you see of it, even though these are cinematics, looks pretty good. We don't know how you can bounce around from character to character, if they're particular, you have to pick a character for a particular mission, or how it goes. But even so, you've got the opportunity to play some very interesting and different fighting style and game style characters. They imply very heavily that Robin is a stealth character, Red Hood is a tank. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But it looks good. I believe that the release on this is 2021. The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is 2022, sadly. So we got quite a while before we get to see either of these. But I'm looking forward to both of them. They both look really good. Probably looking forward to the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League a little bit more. If that comic tone runs through the whole thing, I'm in. So now we're going to move over to TV, or series, streaming series, whatever you want to call it. That's Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon in the upcoming Robert Pattinson-led, Matt Reeves-directed The Batman. And the reason he is up there is this is about the series that Matt Reeves has said will be going to HBO Max that is in the same universe. And we now know, Leonardo, oi, welcome to the show. We now know that in the same universe, but set in essentially the year one timeline, whereas the Batman, the movie, is more of the year two timeline. So the series is going to be about the rise of these sort of criminal elements, costumed criminal elements, and this just starting out vigilante crime fighter who, in Gotham City, told from the point of view of Gotham City police. So kind of like the Fox series Gotham, although hopefully better. It doesn't say how any of the actors or anything else within the movie will connect to the HBO Max series. But it would be great if we got, if we got Jeffrey Wright as Gordon throughout the whole thing. The news article does say that the main focus will be a cop, a corrupt cop who is fighting with the temptation of continuing to be corrupt or trying to help out and be more on the good side. So again, that's a pretty cool concept, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out, as much as I'm looking forward to the movie. Now, this is, of course, Darkseid. The look at Darkseid we got to see in our first look at the Snyder Cut of Justice League. And the reason it's in this section is that it's not being released as a movie. It's going, and we knew that it was going on HBO Max, but it will be 4 one-hour segments. Now, apparently, you will be able to watch it as one 4-hour movie as well, but it's designed to be essentially a miniseries. That you watch it in 4 discrete 1-hour pieces. And if you haven't seen that trailer or listened to Snyder talk about what he was doing with it, go check it out. It is abundantly clear that this is not going to be the theatrical release that we got. If anything, the only thing is The main characters are still the same, and the general concept of Darkseid wants Earth, wants to come get the mother boxes that were left here, and the heroes that are left have to decide they have to revive Superman, and eventually everybody unites and defeats the bad guys. One would assume. I don't think Snyder is going to change it that badly. But this is all being done with footage that was shot and never used in the Whedon finished version. So, and Snyder has said there will not be a single frame of Whedon reshoots in this version, which means no Henry Cavill mustache gate. Thank God. Every time you see Superman, it's going to look like Superman's face, not mostly Superman's face and then bad CGI. So that alone is a big plus. That, for whatever reason, horrible red wash of everything that Whedon used is gone. Now, granted, it's sort of the blue and brown and gray wash that you usually see with a Snyder movie. Yeah, all right. The red was worse. Flash's role is enhanced a lot. There will be time travel elements. They hint very clearly at that, which solves some of the problems between Batman v Superman and Justice League. There's none of the elements of there's a dark future coming that Bruce Wayne saw in his visions, or when Flash came back for a second and told him about horrible things. None of that was even hinted at in Justice League. And clearly it's going to play a big role in Snyder's version of Justice League. And apparently, although they don't really show too much of this other than they're restoring the scenes of Victor Stone as a football player, that Cyborg, according to Snyder, is going to be the heart of the movie, that this is his movie. Which makes it interesting that Cyborg's actor is, continuing to call out Whedon and other people for being abusive. But, like I said, we'll see how that plays out. If you haven't seen it and you're interested, go look at it. It has made me much more interested in this version than I was before. Before, I was going to say, okay, well, I've got to see it kind of to see whether or not this just goes off the rails and we get a car crash, or if it's the same, just different. This now kind of looks better. And that may be just a really good trailer. I'll have to. Snyder's people do good trailers. I'll give them that. But it really looks. The changes look smart, and so far I'm liking them. So definitely check it out. But like I said, that is in the sort of TV or streaming section of what came out of FanDome, because it's going to be on HBO Max and sort of like a 4-part miniseries. Moving on to the movies. All right, that's it, folks. Sorry if it's spoiling. If you haven't watched the actual trailer, the latest trailer for Wonder Woman 1984, but that's what Cheetah looks like in the final, completely changed into the Cheetah version. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was waiting for. We've seen everything else that we need to know about this movie and all the other trailers. They've teased Kristen Wiig in the what I like to call the cougar, not the cheetah, where she literally looks like some sort of Palm Springs cougar with her spiked leather jacket and her spotted leopard or cheetah print stuff, and it looks, to my mind, pretty silly. This, as far as you can tell, and you don't get anything much clearer than this, even though this is a little fuzzy, this looks a lot better. And it had to end, it had to develop into this point. If it was just somebody in a leather jacket with some, cheetah print clothing on, people would be up in arms. And they show a couple of other things. There's some better humor and interaction between Steve Trevor and Diana Prince, particularly more of his sort of fish out of water for whatever happened to him between when he supposedly died in World War I and is now the same age in 1984. You can imagine there's a lot of, gee, what's this do kind of humor. and you get a few more of those that are funnier than anything we've seen, so far, and I like that. But it was a big reveal of Cheetah, and that was pretty cool. It didn't. None of the reveals did anything to change that I'm looking forward to this. I was looking forward to it anyway. The fact that we get to see Cheetah as a, cheetah human hybrid. Okay, we knew that was going to happen. So I'm looking forward to it. And just, oh, you know what? I'm actually going to jump back here a couple of. I'm going to go back to the Jeffrey Wright image just because there was one thing that I didn't talk about DC shows that I wanted to mention, and it also dropped actually Friday of last week. Jim Lee has finally confirmed that all the DC Universe shows, the live-action shows, are moving to HBO Max. DC Universe is essentially toast at this point. We all knew it was going to happen. Anybody who's been on the show, myself, Greg, Crash, Lewis, have been saying, yeah, look, this is just the writing's on the wall. Let's just get it done. Rip off that Band-Aid. Well, they did. So that's it. You're done. It's basically time to cancel my DC Universe subscription and just have HBO Max. So now we're going back to the movies. If you didn't see the trailer for the Batman, you should go watch it. It's a wonderful trailer. If you're not sold on Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, as the Batman, this will sell you on it. He does a fantastic job in both, although we get very little dialogue from him in either. What we do hear a lot is Paul Dano as the Riddler, or as whatever, the person who will become the Riddler, whether they call him Edward Nygma or not. We get to see Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot in the most outlandish, wild makeup. It doesn't look anything like him, and it's pretty amazing. And of course, we get to see Jim Gordon. We get to see some of the other people. I really like, now that I see it with the cape, I like this costume. I like it a lot. It really looks like it was inspired by the armored version of Batman's Batflex uniform in the end parts of Justice League, and that's cool. That's a very armor-inspired look, and I like it. It's a good trailer. It really makes this even more exciting for me than it was before. And I've been excited right out of the gate. I was not a Pattinson hater. I've seen many movies other than Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which people forget that he was amazing in that, and then of course Twilight stuff, which I've never made it through more than half of the first one. He's been since then doing wonderful indie films, adventure, historical, dramatic, really wildly dramatic, fantastically bizarre science fiction, just really good stuff. He's an amazing actor, folks. Don't sell him short. And again, I think the trailer will sell you on him as Bruce Wayne and the Batman. Speaking of Batmans, even though this is in fact about the upcoming Flash movie, they have confirmed a number of things. One is the director has confirmed this will be, we talked about this last week, it'll be based on Flashpoint. It will involve time travel. But they've also confirmed that Ben Affleck will be coming back to play Batman, this Justice League Universe version of Batman, the one that teamed up with Ezra Miller's Flash a couple of times already. And they are confirming the rumor that's been out there for a long time that Michael Keaton will be coming back as some version of Batman. And I'm really sold on that. I think that's fantastic. Whatever they decide to do with it, I'm guessing since it's based on Flashpoint, these are going to be sort of multiverse type stories. they've made it very clear that the multiverse is going to be a part of this. They're leaning into that multiversal appearance that Ezra Miller did as Flash in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover on the Arrowverse, the CW shows, the Berlanti shows. And I think that's a smart call. It gives them the opportunity to have a unified universe. If they want to try to continue a sort of a Justice League-centric unified universe, they can do it. And have individual outside stories like Joker, like the Batman, and the TV series that's going to be connected to it. And anything else that they want to do, it's smart on their part. It doesn't put them into what they thought they had to do, which was either be an MCU coherent whole or a bunch of art house indie director type looks at superheroes. They can do all of it. So smart call on their part. And I hope that means that it's going to that they're going to continue the connected universe that's centered around the Justice League a lot more. Because when that died, as awful as that movie was, or as awful as Batman v Superman was, the promise of having those excellent actors and great characters in something good that could keep going and going was just too enticing to me and to many DC fans. So fingers crossed that that's what this actually means. And there was one other bit that the director, Andy Muschietti, said about, if you go to the Deadline article or just look up, Ezra Miller new Flash suit, there's a quick little glimpse. He gets a new suit that kind of looks a lot like the either traditional comic book suit, a lot less like the armored one that he had in Justice League, or in the crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths. Kind of looks like the Berlanti version of Barry Allen's suit. So we'll see. It's just almost a silhouette type shot. You don't really see much of it. So we'll see how that plays out. And we don't know where it's going to appear in the movie, whether this is his new suit or whether it's another multiverse version of the Flash, which it could very well be. Heck, this could be the Berlanti version. They could say it's his new suit, but this could actually be the CW Barry Allen that we're looking at. So, well, you're not looking at, but if you want to go look that up. I didn't get a screenshot of that because, again, you don't really see hardly anything except a silhouette and some lightning and the lightning bolt on the chest. So you can just tell that the armor's not there anymore. All right, and this brings us to our last topic and our last movie. Boy, if you missed James Gunn's Suicide Squad, or The Suicide Squad, which is the name of the movie, panel, game show, behind-the-scenes footage, whatever you want to call it, from FanDome, you missed a lot. And I mean a lot. That is most of, not all of, the team on this iteration of Suicide Squad. And so we've got some returning characters. Right there smack dab in the middle is, of course, Harley Quinn and Harley Quinn's new look. Very, very reminiscent of the Injustice 2 game look. Behind her is Jai Courtney coming back as Captain Boomerang. The guy with the spikes in his head to his side in the yellow shirt, Joel Kinnaman, is back as Colonel Flag. And then you've got a lot of new characters all the way at the end in the green. That's Nathan Fillion's character that they're calling TDK, which is not the name of a character. There's an awful lot of speculation that he is from the Legion of Superheroes, arm-removing lad or something like that. He can detach his limbs, limb-removing lad or something like that. You've got Peacemaker next to him in the shiny helmet. That is John Cena. I'm very much looking forward to this. The one guy with the bald head and all of the things sticking out of it is actually Peter Capaldi, the previous Doctor Who, as the Thinker. The giant wire framework thing next to Boomerang is the comic actor Steve Agee, who is doing the physical work of motion capturing King Shark. They haven't said who's doing the voice, and it's apparently not Agee, but Taika Waititi, Luminous, Captain Hammer is in the movie. Yeah, all right, yeah, I can see that. Yes, Nathan Fillion, Captain Hammer is in the movie. They credit Taika Waititi as a member of the team, but they never show a character that he plays. So I'm guessing he's going to be the voice of King Shark. If that's the case, I'm down. I'm 100% with that. You can just barely see the top of Idris Elba's head behind the character in the white hair. He plays Bloodsport. Apparently the only person to be in prison for actually shooting and wounding Superman. Shot him with a kryptonite bullet. And that has been confirmed by James Gunn. That's going to be part of his character, and it's canon from the comics. In the white hair, that's Michael Rooker. That's Merle. That's Yondu as Savant, who I like a lot. Savant's a very interesting character. You've got Javelin behind him in the blue and the yellow with, of course, the javelin. The actor is Flula Borg, who is funny as... This guy's comic chops are hilarious just in the interview parts and the game show part of James Gunn's bit on FanDome. You could tell this guy's hilarious. So I'm very much looking forward to see what he does. Down on the floor in the polka dots is, of course, Polka Dot Man. That's David Dalmastian. Desmalchian. Boy, did I mess that one up. Great character actor. He was in a Warner Brothers DC movie before. He played the cop that Harvey Dent vigorously interrogated, who was actually an Arkham patient in Dark Knight. But he was also in both of the Ant-Man movies. He was one of the partners in the security business for Ant-Man, for Scott Lang. So he's done double duty. Also on the floor, I can't tell which one that is. I think that is Sonia Braga as Ratcatcher 2. But it might be another character called Sol Suspiria, which is also not a name that's actually in the DC universe, DC Comics universe. So that could be... we could be getting a reveal that that's a different character. We find out who they actually are at some point. We're missing Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, who is doing motion capture again as a small hairy creature. This time not Rocket Raccoon. This time he is doing the Weasel. And the character design on the Weasel is wonderful. Go check it out. And who are we missing? I think that's most of it. Guys, I seem to think that there's yet another one that I'm missing. But anyway, it looks wonderful. They're describing it, and based on the behind-the-scenes stuff that they showed, it fits as a 1970s gritty war movie that happens to be a superhero movie. And it's got James Gunn's way of dealing with large group dynamics that is almost second to none. We get to see that on the Marvel side in the Avengers movies, or at least the later Avengers movies, when the Russo brothers have taken over. They do a fairly decent job with the group dynamics, but Gunn has shown, particularly with Guardians of the Galaxy, that he's a master at it, and particularly when he's got good actors and funny actors, it's going to be fantastic. Check it out if you're interested. It's the behind the scenes. I can't call it a trailer because it doesn't reveal anything much about the movie. It doesn't show scenes in the movie other than them being filmed. Is wonderful, and I really can't wait for this. I'm very, very excited for it. Luminous, I'm sold. I think we all are. I'd imagine we all are. Unless you're not a fan of DC or superhero movies or what have you at all, in which case it doesn't really matter. But so far, still on course for August 6, 2021. Whether or not they'll move that up, I got that it wasn't Sol Spiria, it was Sol Soria, and I have these backwards. So Alice Braga is Sol Soria, and Daniela Melchior is Ratcatcher 2. We don't see in this. Here's what we don't see. We don't see Mei Ling Eng, who is playing Mongal. We don't see Pete Davidson as Blackguard, which I think is, again, brilliant casting. I can't wait to see that. And of course, we don't see, and returning is Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, the scariest member of the Suicide Squad, hands down. And Viola Davis nails it. In the first movie, she was the best thing about that movie. No question. And certainly the scariest villain in that movie. So that's it. That's our show. So this is an idea of how much information was dumped at FanDome. I just did a solo show that ran an hour. I never do that. So thank you, folks, everybody, for joining. Thanks for the information. Thanks for the chats and the information. The people who corrected me. Crash, thank you very much. Or fed me information when I couldn't find it. We'll see you next week. We don't really have anything to promote right now. The Summer Cosplay Contest Series finals were this past weekend. Congratulations to the August qualifier winner, S. Noel Cosplay, as Atlantic Division Mercy, and to the overall winner of the entire series going up against the June and July winners, qualifier winners. Dova Design, the July winner, took the entire thing with Knight Artorias from Dark Souls 2. Congratulations to everybody. Thank you, everybody who participated. Just amazing costumes. Thank you to our wonderful judges. Judges from all over the country. It was great to have them here. We had have them virtually here. Of course, they were still at their homes because, pandemic and disease. But we don't know that we're going to be doing another one right away. We might be doing it again in the winter. If you like that, if you've seen those videos on the channel and you liked what we did there, comment on it, let us know so that we can plan for doing this again probably in the winter. So for me, Rodney Brown, and all of us at Nerd Caliber, even the ones who couldn't make it tonight, thanks again. Have a good night, and we will see you in a week. Stay safe. Wear the mask, physical distance, wash your hands.